Welcome everybody to the 22nd edition of ARP Live. This is historic because Alex was our very first guest, and we'll be bringing him on in just a moment. So it's very exciting. I can't go any further without saying we're very sad to hear about the passing of Vangelis, which happened apparently a couple of days ago, and definitely we'll talk about that again later in the show. But I wanted to acknowledge that it's a huge loss for our synth community and the whole world in general. Some other more cheerful news is today is Pete Townshend's birthday, and I'm just flashing a little picture of Pete back in the day with an avatar during a demo session where he was playing with the avatar and a centaur. So we want to say a shout out and happy birthday to Pete Townsend as well. Anyway, so we have a few other announcements to make. One of them is, I've been repeating this each time, but I just wanted to make sure you all know to save the date on actually, both Alex and I have been involved in this project. It's a project, it's a not out quite yet, but it will be being sold by Korg as a package. This is Patch and Tweak with Korg by the Björk's people, so Kim Bjorn, publisher. And a lot of us in the community have worked on this. A lot of foundation people, David Friend, David Mash, myself, Alex, Mary Locke helped with us, Don Morrow, Nate Beardman, a lot of people out there. So we're really excited about seeing this. And not only does it have patches, it also has one of the first definitive histories of the ARP 2600 in all sorts of wonderful color detail and pictures that no one's ever seen before. And it comes with this cool little oscilloscope kit. And I know I've heard a lot of people talk on, I think it was ProSynth Network and other places, about do we need an oscilloscope? But I do want to tell you that I grew up with an oscilloscope in the basement, and it is just a wonderful tool to have. I don't know a lot of details about this yet, but please stay tuned. In the coming weeks, there will be more information. I know they're pre-ordering through distributors to get the kit, the Patch and Tweak kit with Korg and the oscilloscope, the pocket oscilloscope. All right, enough of me. Let's go ahead and bring in Alex. Hey.
Hello. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. Not too bad.
My goodness, a lot
I'm
has
all
happened since I think it was a little over 2 years, because it was April that you released the first electromotive version.
It would be. It would be. Yes, it would be 2 years ago. Yeah,
Wow.
that has flown by, hasn't it? Yeah, and lots has happened. Yeah.
A lot has happened.
We're
Yeah.
back.
I think
We're back, and we've got something working now. That's
Yeah.
a big difference behind me.
Yeah, we can't wait to hear it. It's pretty exciting. I think most of you know about this, but if you haven't, you have to see Electromotive. I'm going to give you a tiny little bit of a taste, really focusing on the Electromotive section that folks focused on the Avatar, which, much to Alex's chagrin, was not as big and fleshed out as you would have liked. So you've since then done a lot of work. Let's just get a little taste, and here we go. All right.
Just opened up another world for me, so it was an explosive time.
Yeah, so it's witnessing your dream.
In 1976, two parallel projects had been started in order to develop what they considered was the way to go: a polyphonic synthesizer with a digital keyboard, and a sister guitar synthesizer. The latter was something that was first done by Bob Easton of 360 Systems, and other manufacturers began to look into their own technology. And it seemed logical given the number of guitarists there were and how much more accessible synthesizers had become to stage performance throughout the 70s.
Well, guitar players were always saying, how can I make the same sounds that my keyboard player is making? And there were a lot more guitar players than there were keyboard players in the world. And so we figured, wow, if we could make this work, this might be a whole new market. And I can remember trying to find what the heck kind of connector can I use? You can't use a standard guitar plug because you got 6 separate signals. And we scoured the world for some kind of connector that would allow you to take 6 separate signals with coax on each one so they didn't interfere with each other.
The guitar side of the project started out with the ambition that the 6 strings could control 6 separate synthesizers in one box, and it was dubbed the Centaur 6.
You were basically building special purpose processors out of discrete logic chips, OR gates, AND gates, flip-flops, that kind of stuff. And so it was expensive. It probably would have cost $15,000 or $20,000 if we had to bring it to market, because it had a lot of gear in it. Well, we made one. We made a Centaur 6, and it actually worked better than the Avatar. And then the Avatar, because, if you only have 1 string per synthesizer, you don't have this problem of trying to figure out what to do with chords, because you play a chord, you get 6 notes coming out of 6 different synthesizers. And so it actually would have been easier to build, and it would have worked better than the Avatar. But just hugely expensive.
Yes. Oh, and there's the Avatar.
Yeah, I have to admit that I had some trepidation in the beginning, sort of personal trepidation about focusing on the Avatar. Of course, there's a lot of water under the bridge, I guess one would say. And what delights me is the idea that you have delved in and brought some positivity to this project, and to find the beauty and the originality and the creativity behind it. So, all right, I'm gonna have you take over a little bit.
I keep firing it off. I'll give you a quick blast, because you can hear. So this is the Avatar. So as you know, as we'll discuss, it struggles to do what they were trying to get it to do, but so there's the pitch to CV. So we've got it working, which I think I'm the only person in the world who's got that going. And I'll play you as well the just very quickly. It's a bit noisy. Hex fuzz. If you're listening in stereo, you'll hear this. So you should get 3 strings in one ear and 3 in the other. So it's this really odd sound. Which is the hex pickup, which is this crazy 6 pickups in one pickup, which I've got attached to my guitar. So so we've got it going, and I've got this video coming tomorrow. So I'm just going to turn this down. There we go. We've got this video coming. I've got this video tomorrow, which is going to be going through everything on it properly, which I'm really excited about. But I thought I'd come on here because I thought it'd be interesting to talk about how I even wound up with it and why it's taken 3 years to get it going.
Yes.
And because it's kind of a funny story. So a few years ago, I put a message out amongst my partners in crime and said, has anyone got any ARP synthesizers knocking around? And thought someone might have, I don't know, an Odyssey or an Omni or something. And somebody came back and said, yeah, I've got an Avatar. And what had happened is a friend of mine had brought it into the UK some years ago, a load of people had it for a while, and they'd kind of all swapped it round. Someone swapped it for a Solus, someone moved it round. And I don't think anyone really knew what to do with it, which is a common thing, because they're like, what is this thing? And I didn't know really what the Avatar was. And I looked it up and I was like, it's a guitar synthesizer. A what? And then you look online to try and find recordings of it, and there weren't any. There was like nothing. It was this mysterious thing. So there's videos of people just using it over CV and Gate, which is basically like an Odyssey. But we know what that sounds like. So I was like, well, what's all this guitar stuff? What does that do? And then, of course, you read all this stuff saying that it was a failed product, and it sold badly, and it cost ARP a lot of money and stuff. And everything was making me really intrigued as to what on earth this thing was. And then around a similar time, I managed to wangle an interview with Alan Howarth, who did a bunch of scores with John Carpenter in the 80s, starting with Escape from New York, which is one of the things that first switched my ears onto synthesizers. Many years ago, I remember that being on TV one night, and I was just mesmerized. I loved the sound of the music in it. And so I did an interview with him, and during the interview, he revealed that he had 2 avatars and a quadra as well, which is all over that score. So it's played from a sequencer. They didn't use the guitar for it, but now I was even more intrigued. So I was like, oh, hang on, the Avatar's on Escape from New York. So I was like, I've got to get this thing. So I spoke to the guy who had it, and I was working in Soho in central London, and he was, I can't remember where he was, but it was about an hour away. And I got out one afternoon. Hi, Nick. And I got over to it. It took me an hour to get to him. And I don't know why, because I'd only seen pictures of it. I thought it was, I don't know, a normal kind of size like this or something. And I'd brought a quite a big holdall to take it in. And I turned up, it's absolutely comically massive. It's almost the same size as a 2600. Yeah. There is just, and it weighs an absolute ton. It's a feature of it that it's so big that it's like a joke that it's that big. I mean, you can put a pedal board on the bottom of it, and people mod them and put things down here. But so I was like, how am I going to get this back? So I got it kind of half in the holdall that I had, but it was just sticking out. It was ridiculous. We tried to do what we could with like tape, and the guy who I bought it off was gracious enough to drive me to the tube station. And at this point, it was like rush hour. All the people are coming out. There's, you can imagine how busy London was. And I'm just carrying an Avatar. And at the time, I didn't know that there's that Moses poster with him holding. And I'm not joking. I looked like the Avatar. I was just carrying this enormous slab.
We like this version a lot.
Yes, I mean that. And my chariot was the London Underground. And what was really annoying was the front of it's really delicate because you've got all the sliders, but the back of it's like a lethal weapon. So I was trying to not touch the front, and I was just whacking people with the back of it. I looked like such an idiot. And I got it, and then I had to get an overground train, and I annoyed everybody on that. And then I had to get a bus. So just to annoy everybody on public transport on that day, I got the thing back. And then little did I know that, that was only the beginning of the problems, because whilst it basically worked, I didn't have any of the accessories that come with it. No, whenever you see them for sale, it's all missing. It's like, where's the pickup, where's the cable, where's the foot switches, where's the foot pedal, where's the manual, all that stuff. So then I went on a mission trying to find that stuff. And the pickup, you have to get the original ARP pickup. And so I asked around, has anyone got any? And eventually someone came back and Jay said, I've got a friend who had an Avatar in the 70s. He might still have a spare pickup. And it turned out his friend is Ace Frehley from Kiss, who who used it on. Kiss did a series of solo albums, which they all launched on the same day in 1978. And Ace Frehley's was quite successful, and it's got Avatar on it. Not particularly prominently, but it's there. So I got his pickup, and it arrived, and and that was it. And I said, "What can I do in return?" And I found them a record in a London record shop that they couldn't get in the US, and posted it. So I posted them a record. They posted me a pickup. Everyone's a winner. And then I held it up to my guitar, and it was absolutely massive. It just was completely the wrong size. And I was thinking, what guitar is this for? And I've got quite a few guitars, so I held it up to all of them, and it was just bigger than all of them. At which point I discovered that in the 70s, Fender guitars were like really wide. The string spacing was really wide. And then at some point in the 80s, they brought it down to what we're all used to, this kind of spacing. And so then I thought, hang on a sec, am I going to have to go and find a vintage Fender to even attach the pickup? Which is, I've then discovered that there's vintage reissues. But thankfully, I then also discovered there's another pickup, which is this one, if you can see that.
Oh yeah.
Which does fit. So ARP made two. So that's the first warning. If you get an Avatar, there's two pickups, and the 0.44 is huge. It's like seven. Everything was massive in the 70s, wasn't it? So the pickup was massive. So I got a pickup that actually fit, and then I had to find a cable. And I mean, finding a cable is, needle in a haystack. And somebody tipped me off that a guy had a broken one that he might sell, and he was in Australia, I think, or somewhere. And he did. He sold me it, so at least I could get one, and we could get a tech to open it and figure out what it was. And and then also Nathan from Synth Chaser was helping me, and we figured out what it is. So it's this Limo S connector. I mean, you heard in the documentary Dave Friend saying we had to scour the world for what on earth to use, and I had to scour the world to flipping find one. But now we now know what it is, and you can make them, which is brilliant, because the originals obviously are hard to find, and they're probably broken because they're so old. So we got the cable, I got the pickups, fired it up and connected it, and it doesn't work. So I thought, and so then I'm trying to find a tech to get the thing to work, and a lot of techs were kind of looking at it and going, yeah, because they're so busy, techs, they don't want to take on something that's going to be a massive pain. And it's this strange combination of very primitive digital technology that's trying to do the conversion, and then an analog synth. So you need to know a bit about both. And then time went on, and COVID happened and everything, and more time went on. And then eventually someone tipped me off about a guy who's a tech who does analog, knows vintage analog, but he also knows vintage digital and does lots of, like EMU emulators and AMS digital units and old lexicons and things that were like really early digital, which is just a niche within a niche. And he was a guitarist, so I thought, this is the guy. So I had to wait for him to be available, and then he took it, and it took him no time, and he fixed it. So we've got it, which is awesome. So yeah, that's why it's taken 3 years.
Well,
and why nobody else plays it as well, because I'm sure everyone else has been down this road and thought, forget it.
So I just want to mention, Bill Singer is here, by the way.
Hey,
Yay, Bill! So for all of you, Bill Singer was the person that was demoing these wonderful instruments, and was in Alex Ball's movie as well, and his product developer and of the Avatar. And he says, Alex, imagine carrying it around for 2 years throughout the world in an anvil case. Bill, you must be very strong. You must have some really, really strong. The chat is not working now. I mean, it's working for YouTube, but it's not working in the eCam. But of course, something has to. It's sort of par for the course. There always has to be something, I've discovered. I don't know.
There always has to be something. I was going to say that the last piece of the puzzle was that I got the foot switches as well. I've now found a foot pedal, which I should be getting. But there's a manual, and then there's an ARP cassette, which was like the demo cassette that came with it. And those are impossible to find. And I found a guy selling an Avatar with the cassette, and I just messaged him and kind of said, so I did this documentary, just one of those ridiculous emails where you just lay it out. It's like, and just hope they understand. I did this documentary about ARP and this, that, and the other. I've been trying to find this, and he was fantastic and said, oh, great, I'd love to help. So he, even though he was selling the Avatar and it didn't benefit him at all, he took the time to digitize the cassette and send it to me, which I've now stuck up on Bandcamp. So we've got Bill's original half-hour cassette, and it's because he's in the documentary, and and there he is. His voice, he sounds exactly the same. It's like not
here. Is that possible to play it here, or?
Actually, you know what? I might be able to do it from. because I can play the audio from my desk is playing. So if I play it off my computer, the ARP Avatar cassette. Is this it? Can you hear that?
Yeah. Let me see if I can get the Bandcamp link for that.
This is the intro. So 70s.
All right, and I just posted the link to that in the
ARP
chat.
guitar
For those of
synth-
you who want to check that
especially-
out.
This cassette is to be used in conjunction with the ARP Avatar Owner's Manual.
There you go. Yeah, so that's up on Bandcamp. It's absolutely fantastic, and it shows you the things you could do with the Avatar as well, which I'm going to work through as well because I think some of them are really fun. So yeah, that was a great find, because that's, you know, even if you can find a cassette, then it's like, is it ruined? Because those things don't keep, do they? So
No.
that's lucky. So that's digitized now, so that will survive. There we go. So yes, it's been a mission, but I should shut up and play you a bit more, shouldn't I?
Absolutely.
I wanted to play you this, because the hex pickup, right? If I do it clean, so it splits the strings in half. So you've got 3 strings out of one speaker and 3 strings out of the other, which is really odd. If you're in stereo, you can hear that, which is really cool, and it's like super clean and bright. But it means you can put a different effect on one half of the guitar than the other, which is...
You know,
So-
everyone stop for a second. Go get your headphones, because I'm so grateful that you told me to put my headphones on, Alex. Because
Okay.
I mean, I'm serious. It sounds wonderful to hear the stereo effect that you're discussing. So anyone
Yeah.
who has headphones nearby, grab them.
Yeah, grab 'em.
Stick them in your computer, because it's really enhancing the experience more than I've heard in a while on here. This is great.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? So on the top strings, I've got a phaser, and then on the bottom strings, I've got a delay. So, and it sounds like 2 guitars. And then you can put the fuzz on it as well. So it's a totally unique sound. Let's put that off. I've never played a hex pickup, so I know you can get them, but I've a hex pickup through like 70s fuzz circuits and stuff. I think what's most awesome about it, and I want to do it at some point, is if you have amps rather than the direct signal, then it'll work even better, I think. So if you've got your guitar split in stereo, so that's 2 amps. Then you've got the synth, which comes out of its own output, and you can run the guitar through the filter. I'll show you that in a sec. So that's another out, and then you can still use the normal out of your guitar and run that through an amp. So you could have 4 amps with completely different signals coming out of it, and just take down a house. So it is really cool, because it didn't do well, and there are reasons it didn't do well. But there was some really, really interesting stuff on there, which got lost with it. Well, actually, some of it got copied. You find hex fuzz on all sorts of stuff that got copied. So yeah, it's not a dud of an idea. It's just that part of it doesn't quite work, and because of the era, really. And I think the other thing is guitarists went for pedals, didn't they? Because it's got like 2 knobs on it, and then you just turn it on and off with your foot. And so I think guitarists were like, "Oh, great, yeah, we'll do that." and this maybe was a bit daunting. I don't know. But yeah, I'll show you the filter thing, because it's got an envelope follower, which famously your dad's first invention, wasn't it? Was an envelope follower. So if I run the guitar through, which I should get here, which I'm not getting for some reason. Oh, there we go. Oh yeah, through the filter. If you can hear that. I might put the sensitivity too high. Let's try that. So you can hear the filter opening and closing. So you can play around with that as well. It works quite well with the clean, actually. Put some more resonance on it. There we go. So you've got that as well. And then you can play the synth, which kind of doesn't work, but it does. For 1977, it works all right. So, yeah, you can. But you can just hear it. It's just behind all the time because there's a lag in trying to figure out what the notes are. But it does work. And it's a bit janky, but you can also modulate one of the VCOs as well. So if I bring in the envelope follower on that, you can from the guitar. So it must have been pretty cool to be able to do that. And there's a ring mod in there as well. So if I unsync it, you can go all Doctor Who. So it's kind of a mad idea. The other thing you can do is you can just run one. You can choose which strings go through it, which is another brilliant idea. So I've just got one string going through, so it will only. So if I play those strings, it'll. So if I play the top string, the synth comes through. But if I play the bottom strings, it doesn't, and the synth's not coming through now for some reason. So here we go. So I can just bring it in on one string. So it's got these really odd sounds in there. I've never heard stuff like that before. So yeah, I think it's. If you look online up until now, the recordings you hear of the Avatar really don't show you what it did, because everybody just, a lot of the time, that was a big problem with mine. Actually, I discovered that someone else had been in there and just disconnected the guitar side of it. People just take it out. It was still there, thankfully, but they just cut it really badly as well, cut all the connections. So that had all the tracks had to be redone and everything. But that... all that guitar stuff's really weird in some ways, and then really interesting in others. That hex sound, not heard anything like that before. And as a guitarist, to have your guitar in half is really. I heard one of the ARP techs, John, who did the ARP custom mods and stuff. They did a mod where you could do pan spread, which would be even more awesome because then you could strum a chord. Yes, it would go. You could do like a from left to right, so that would be even cooler. But yeah, I've got a better video coming tomorrow. That's not me just mucking about. It's like a proper video showing it off. But it's so gratifying to have the thing working and solve the mystery of what does this thing sound like. I mean, we had some idea because Drew Schlesinger and David Torn released that album where David Torn. So we'd got something. So right, okay, there's Hex Fuzz. So I could hear that, and sure enough, when I've tried it out, that's exactly what it sounds like. So that was cool. But yeah, up until like really recently, this 40-year-old thing, nobody knows what on earth it sounds like. And
So that's part of the fun, right? The mystery of it
yeah,
all, and
yeah,
yeah. Should we
and it's sorry. Oh, quiet you. Sorry.
it's got something to say. So
It has.
this quest for find. No, you were a guitar player first before keyboardist,
Yeah,
or?
that's the irony. I'm not a keyboard player at all. So I learned to play guitar, and I look around on other instruments. But yeah, so that's another reason it was fascinating, because it's like this is a thing where synths and guitars meet in a peculiar 70s way. So yeah, that was made it interesting as well.
Yeah, and then there's this, the saga behind it, and
Yeah,
which is, which is a whole another conversation. But I think that
yeah. It's a funny one, because when you look at the history, a whole bunch of companies had the same idea. Like Roland did a bunch of guitar synths, Korg did one, 360 Systems did several. I think some other companies prototyped. I think everybody had the same idea, because they were looking at guitarists who were saying, "Can we have more sounds?" And ultimately, the answer was probably pedals, but it wasn't an illogical step, because everybody had the same idea and everybody tried it out. And Roland did a few more. They did some like pitch to CV modules as well, I've just remembered. So yeah, people were trying it out, and I guess you have to think that everything they did was a risk. Like even the 2500, the 2600. Well, David Friend will talk about being thrown out of a store trying to get them to sell a 2600, which is hilarious given how famous and iconic that is. So if everything was a risk, so was the Avatar, and yeah, it didn't work out. And it's easy to, with the benefit of hindsight, kind of say bad things about it. But I don't. It was just one of those things, wasn't it? It just didn't work out for a number of reasons that they wouldn't know until they tried it, I guess.
I love what's coming out though. I love what's coming out of your music making. This is pretty neat. Can we have a teaser, a little bit of the? Can I show?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna show you just a small teaser of Alex's proper demo tomorrow. We've seen a few improper ones along the way.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Let me make sure I got the right one. Oh God, maybe I don't. Hold on a second. This is where it always side by side. All right, give me a moment to get this together. Here we go.
If it doesn't quite work, that would be kind of fitting, actually. Oh, here we go.
So how do we work around the problems? Well, firstly, you can monitor the hex preamp signal, which doesn't have any delay, and record the synth from its own output, and then in your DAW, nudge it back in time. And that sounds like this. So that's kind of okay, but if you want it bang on, the way to do it is use a sequencer with the rear CV gate and trigger inputs, and that sounds like this.
Yeah, so that's a bit where I talk about, because there's this lag in the way that the processing figures out what note you've played, which is as bad as 40 milliseconds. And so how do you fix that problem and
you
use it
play
anyway.
to a live
And so
stream, and then the lag is imperceptible. That's because there's already
yeah,
a lag going on here, so we don't.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the way. Just live stream all you there you go.
That sounds fantastic. I can't wait to see the whole thing. I really can't.
Yeah, I'm quite excited about that. I'm just over the moon that the thing's alive and that I can start using it. And in fact, I'm doing a TV series at the moment, and it's got quite a bit of Avatar. I'm just shoehorning Avatar into it because I'm not just for my own
Oh,
personal. Yeah,
well,
so
actually, that's my next question. Do you have any plans to do some more stuff with this? What
well,
kind of
yeah,
stuff?
I'm going to use it basically. Yeah, so it's just going to start getting used as a guitar synthesizer, which is what it is. And I've got a box. A guy in Australia actually, Series Circuits, has made me a box that is 6 jack-ins that goes into the DIN input. So I'll be able to run any 6 signals through the hex fuzz and the envelope follower and the filter and everything. So that will mean that I can run, drum machines and vocals and all sorts. So that's going to open it out even more. So that'll just a little box that'll sit on the front there. So that's going to make it even more useful. So yeah, I'm just going to start using it basically, and as it was supposed to be used, which is the yeah. And I really like. I've got a few things that are really peculiar and in some cases like one of a kind. And I like that the Avatar kind of fits into that bracket. It's not one of a kind, but it's not something that a lot of people are doing. So that makes it more fun, of course, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah, well, there's not a lot of people I know that even know how to repair them. Phil Scirocco, I know does, and then you have someone that you're working with now, and this somebody in Australia.
also a film,
So we
yes.
have a few continents covered. So with an exclusive group of 4 people.
I think Nathan from Synth Chaser's got a few, and
Oh
he's
yeah.
got to brave them at some point. I think he might have a go at coming up with a new pitch to CV module, because obviously nowadays you can just do it digitally and it will just work instantaneously almost, because you're not trying to do it with some kind of 70s converter. So if I might do that eventually to mine as well, mod it so it's just got a digital converter, and then it will just be absolutely spot on, and then even better. Yeah.
Wow. Cool. So I think this is any other news? Anything you want to share with us about what's going on since we've last
No,
spoke?
it's very busy. Yeah, I'm doing all sorts of stuff. I've got some. Yeah, I'm doing a TV series. I'm doing loads of music work at the moment, so I haven't been putting out many videos. But I've got the Avatar video coming, which is going to be. I'm really excited about. Something I've wanted to do for years. I've got some other cool stuff coming up on YouTube. One is a Emu Emulator 2 video, which I've partly done, and then the emulator died. There's a theme here, so that's gone off to be fixed, and I'll get that back. Sometimes I do question what on earth I'm doing playing around with vintage. When it works, it's amazing, and a lot of it is very reliable, but sometimes you just
It's because you're
things
playing it in the
just
kitchen too much, and you get flour.
yes, I do. Yeah. For people who don't know, I've got an ongoing joke where whenever I borrow a synth, I take a photo of it in the kitchen. So I've got this album called The Kitchen Synth that's got about 100. Some of them are hilarious because there's like a System 700, which is almost as big as the kitchen. Anything that comes through, it has to be photographed in the kitchen.
You have to do next year's calendar. That you need to do the next.
Yes. Yeah, there we go.
Everything but the
There we
kitchen
go.
synth by
Yeah. We could totally do that. It's quite a funny. It is quite amusing cycling through them because there's some ridiculous stuff. But yeah, the emulator's been in there. I've got that coming, and I've got there's an Oberheim 2 voice in original. So obviously Oberheim, big news. They're back. Tom's back in business, age 85, which is incredible. And that OBX8 sounds out of this world. But I borrowed an original 2 voice, which is quite a chunky synth with 2 SEMs in it, and only one SEM's working, so it's gone off to be fixed. But even with one SEM, it was absurdly fat. It's just huge. And a cool thing about it is the filter on it, which is a big part of the sound, was designed by Dennis P. Collin. So it's basically a 2500 filter on it, which is why it sounds so huge. So that's going to get a video, which I'm really excited about because that's just amazing. And then I've got some other. Oh, an ARP sequencer. I'll be doing a video with an ARP sequencer. That's being fixed at the moment. Everything's being fixed at the moment. But yeah, I'll get a, because that's a brilliant thing. That little box that does all the. And I discovered today, I'm totally going to steal the guy's idea, but credit him. You can use it as a 16-bit wave shaper, which I'll have to show you in the video how to do it. So you can run it crazy fast, and it creates a tone, and then you can use the steps to shape the wave. Nuts. But I didn't know you could do this. I saw a video of it today. I was like, what? And this guy's using. Yeah, you can use it as an oscillator. So there's some. I'm looking forward to that because that's another quite unique thing, that ARP sequencer. So.
And that came out around the same time as the Avatar, I think like the year before maybe or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, yeah, 76. And there weren't many sequencers, standalone sequencers about. I think, I guess that's another thing, isn't it? Spotted a gap in the market, standalone sequencer. You don't have to buy the whole synth, you just buy the sequencer bit. And that could have been a risk, but those did take off, didn't they? And, people love sequencers. So, yeah, I guess the Avatar thing didn't quite work out, but other things did. And there we go.
So we have some time for questions. Unfortunately, I don't think I can. For some reason, I'm not able to put the questions. Let's try. Hold on, one more time. My commenter is back. Yay! All right. So let's see. We have David Lee.
Hello.
It's a cool
I agree. That is it is a unique sound. Yeah, it's
and
very
Paul
cool.
Harriman. Yeah, he's. Can you see them?
Siri
see the comments there?
I can see them. Yeah.
Oh, great.
He did a JX3P MIDI. Yeah. Series circuits. Yeah, good guy.
So I'd like to open up questions to the audience, especially because I'm sure that you'll have a lot more technical questions than I would at this point, being stuck more on the history in my realm. Though I have to say I'm loving the sounds that I'm hearing, and I really love the idea of taking. I don't find anything wrong. I know a lot of purists will probably be groaning at this, but retrofitting, modding, or creating new ways to repurpose these instruments, because that's really what it's all about. The entire process of creativity is you're passing on information, and you want the next generation to build off of that. And so, and the value of all of these experiments, whether successful or not, is that they give you more building blocks to work with, and so I think it's such a cool thing. Anyway, I would love to hear from the audience. I know some of you are probably wondering how you can get your avatar to work, or or any other part of the process. So we'll wait till they get their questions up. Here we are. Modding has been going on forever. That's true. Absolutely. I think it's been going on even within minutes of when the instruments hit the public. Is it right?
Yeah.
And
because ARP had a custom shop. ARP had that custom shop. They did mods, and I believe they were under warranty because they were done by ARP. So you could go and get your. I've seen like an Odyssey with like loads of extra switches and knobs on it, and that was done by ARP, like you say, right at the start. Oh, here's Bill.
Yeah, Mill, are you referring to Mike Brigida? I'm assuming that you're referring to Mike Brigida. Him using the sequencer in the 2600 as well.
As a drum machine.
Yeah. Huh.
And a bass patch on the EAD. Yeah. Yes, because you've got this split on the guitar, so you can. Yeah, because Bill's got a recording of the Centaur 6 that he and Mike did, but it's he's got to get the right kind of tape machine to be able to run it off at some point.
Let me know, because I have someone that has offered to help the foundation to transfer tape to digital. Yeah, so
there we go, because we might be able to hear the Centaur 6.
A tape transfer guru in the pocket, so to speak. So if that's the case, definitely let me know. Yeah. Let's see, we got here we go. I think he meant amazed at what it can do. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm figuring out new stuff all the time. Yeah, I'm intrigued to try the whole thing with the fact that you can have a different effect on half the guitar split in half with two effects, because there's loads of stuff you could do that, like a reverb on one and a delay on another, or two different types of reverb, or really odd
Are you able to
and great.
could you show us a wee bit of that now? If
Uh,
people went to get
I've got
their headsets, now they can hear the
yeah. Let me. I
moving
might be
and
able to add a
stereo.
reverb. Let me put a delay on this line. So if I've got just a clean sound, let me figure that out. So that's that one. So on this one, if I stick an effect up, I should have. Oh, my mic's gone with it as well. That's me, isn't it? Hello, I'm back. So I should now have yeah. Have I got a reverb on the top strings and a delay on the bottom? Very weird. Because we're only getting a delay on those strings. And you're getting this very bright top. I will say as well on this, because you've got 6 pickups, it picks up flipping everything, like every little touch of the strings. And it's quite hard to control, because on a normal guitar, you're constantly resting fingers across strings to mute them out, to mute strings, and when you do it on this, it it just picks it up. It goes, no, you don't, and so you get all these kind of thumps and whacks, and you do have to. Dave Friend said, and Bill has told me, you kind of have to adjust your technique a bit. So I'm still getting used to that. But yeah, it's 3 note chords with a foot pedal on the hex pickup is what Bill's saying. Yeah. How'd you come across the Avatar? Yeah, so I at the start I was saying that a friend brought it in, who's a vintage synth nutter and finds everything, brought it into the country, and it had basically been passed around in a game of pass the parcel, with a bunch of people not knowing what on earth to do with it, because it was missing everything. So all you wind up with is this massive slab that's got like this thing on the front saying hex fuzz, and you're like, what's hex fuzz? And then you've got an input that you like, what the heck connects to that? So basically a whole bunch of people had it and didn't know what to do with it, and because I'm a lunatic, I was like, oh, I'll have it. So I'm glad I did, because it's alive. So it's been yeah, it's important to keep these things going. I think, there's certain people who keep certain things going, like Robbie Puricelli and Yamaha DX gear, and Fairlights and things that are a real pain unless you know what you're doing. And yeah, if certain people take them on and say, I'm going to get this going, then it keeps it alive, doesn't it? So yeah.
So David Lee, you'd like to hear the Avatar and a GR300 being triggered from one guitar with a splitter.
Yes, but doesn't the GR300, because Roland's solution, rather than a pickup, was they made an entire guitar, which was the GR. There's the 500 first and then the 300. Yeah, it's an entire guitar. I think they did it in collaboration with Ibanez or somebody. And it's got, talking about impossible to find connectors, the cable is like something the size of a VHS videotape, which is full of pins, and it just like connects to the back of it. But yeah, I've never tried them, but there is a equally mad Roland guitar synthesizer as well from the same year as well. So yes, that would be fun. Or a dual neck. What about like a Geddy Lee dual neck with one going through the Avatar and one through a Roland GR300 or something? There you go. That would that would be the one.
Nick, the hex fuzz almost sounds like a bit champagne chorusy. Lovely.
Yes, because it's like absolutely it's a really odd sound, because there's no crosstalk, so it's like recording the guitar one string at a time. yeah, really totally unique sound. Yeah.
It's very lush. I know I use that word a lot with
Mm,
oh my
it is
goodness.
because yeah.
Australia is in the house. Good.
Hey.
Hey, it's early in the morning. He's getting his on his on a Wow. Okay, but is it Friday? Yeah. He's Hi, David.
It's the future. Yeah, it is. Friday
Welcome.
morning. Yeah,
Welcome. This is great. Okay, we're getting more continents. I love that.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's always
yeah.
great to hear
I
from
mean,
you, David.
yeah, I mean, the Avatar, the bits of it that fixed it came from all around the world, and yeah, even I've got stories about other gear that's even more. It's a truly international production sometimes to get things going, and yeah, and then that's reflected on here by people uh,
I
who
think
love
that
synths all over the world. Yeah.
it's a really cool thing about this community. I mean, when I've told the story before when we got the Solus. I found it online and I called them and I started to ask around. Does anyone live near here? And
Mhm.
then Peter Churchyard lived near um, that particular store, and then someone else, a friend of mine who was driving to Boston, and this sort of chain of this sort of chain, and then actually even the way we got the avatar, our avatar, not yours, was a gentleman in I'd like to say Virginia, Robin Parker, and he donated it to MEAP for us, and then it was brought to us by Mike Hunter.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, Mike.
so
Yeah.
there's an amazing support system with the majority of the synth world,
Yeah.
and the idea of
Like
preservation and keeping things going and like that, because instruments should be able to last many lifetimes, I think.
yeah, as long as you can keep. Yeah, and I don't know any other world where it is. I mean, like half my gear is lent out to people at the moment. Half the stuff in here isn't mine. You just do, don't you? I don't know. It's a kind of a culture in a really nice way. But yeah, I mean, I was going to say one little quick story. The System 100M over there, which is was up. There's so many stories within stories of that, but one. The craziest, I was asking around, word of mouth. Can anybody find this? Can anybody find this? I was after a particular module, and a few people were looking out, and one guy got a message from a friend who was traveling, and he was in a shopping mall in Korea, and he was just walking through this mall, and he spotted in the window of a shop some stuff, and he was like, I'm sure those are synths, and he took a photo, sent it to his mate saying, do you recognize these? And it was the module I was after. It's probably one of the last you could find anywhere in the world. So the next thing I know, I'm speaking to this guy in Korea. Korea, we got it over, and all of it's like that. I think some of it came from the UK, but most of it has come, from as far west as you can go and as far east as you can go. It's yeah, and I don't know. Maybe there's something else in another world, like vintage cars or something. I don't know. I'm not part of those worlds, but there seems to be this common goal that everybody wants to keep this stuff going, don't they? And
Your postal representatives must really wonder about you.
yeah, yeah. You do get some odd things, yeah, coming through the post as well. Yeah. I have had some funny ones, and sent stuff out as well. Yeah, I've just posted some stuff today actually to a couple of guys. Yes, so yeah, always going on.
Very cool.
That's Bill Miller,
Yeah.
Bill T Miller. Hello.
Well, we are
Yeah.
we are actually and speaking of the foundation's avatar, we are needing that special guitar. So
Hmm.
yeah, so I'm probably gonna have some people get in touch with you, Alex.
Totally. I will. Yes, and I will speak to the tech who fixed this, and I'm sure he'll be able to help people out. If he's done two, he did mine and did someone else's as well. So
Oh, okay,
he's Mr. Avatar now. Yeah, that would be a pleasure.
great. All right, we were actually an hour just flew by, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But there it goes. And so last call for questions or comments because Alex needs to get to bed. He's got a lot.
It's a school night. Yeah.
You got a house full there.
I do. Yes, I will be jumped on by 3 children at
I just
6
love
o'clock in the
I
morning.
love the pictures of your kids. It just makes me if I feel sad, I go to your page and I find some pictures, and it just makes me
They're
full
quite-
feel full of joy. So
we
everybody
are
go like
biased.
Alex's page. I'm also going to take this time to do the obligatory fundraising, and I just really want to mention that we have the link to the Alan R. Perlin Foundation donate page. We are going to start to go into some fundraising soon. We have a symposium in the fall. I have several different uh, synthesizer trade shows and all that I'm hoping to get to at the end of the year. All of these things are cost inhibitive. We also have several odysseys coming, which is wonderful, but we need to ensure these odysseys, and these odysseys are for everybody to use. So if you are stopping by in Boston, you can come to the Alan R. Perlman Foundation's it's brick and mortar location at the TRC. That's where our collection is housed. I have a small collection at home that I definitely make available to guests that come and visit, and I'm going to be taking around to a couple of different shows. I'm hoping to go to Nîmes. I'm also interested. We are actually been asked to be part of the New England Synth Fest. Bill, I'm definitely going to have to speak to you about that. I know you've been part of that. I'm very excited about that. That's running all summer. They're going to have 3 consecutive, 3 Thursdays going on where they're going to be having some synthesizer shows, and this is at the Boston Museum of Science. So if anyone's ever been to Boston or is from there, like some of us, and the Museum of Science with the Hayden Planetarium, it's going to be an awesome place to see a concert. So that should be really fantastic. We also are working on 2 different scholarships, one at Berklee College of Music, and we've recently started connecting with Worcester Polytech, which is my father's alma mater. It's located in Worcester, Massachusetts, and we are hoping to do some collaborations and start to do some fundraising for scholarships. And these scholarships would be for budding electronic engineers or electronic music musicians and the like. So please consider, like I said, no amount is too small, and we will be doing some major fundraising soon. We got a new Odyssey t-shirt that we're working on, and some really fun swag and all that good stuff. I just want to thank everyone for stopping by, and especially Alex Ball. And let's
Having me.
see, I've been blabbing anything we got going on here. Just a lot of thanks and love. So that's always welcome. Thank you, James. Thank you, Paul and David. Eduardo.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.
Hello. All right. All right. Any last statements?
No, well, no. It's awesome to hear stuff going on with the foundation, because obviously we talked about that when you were starting. So it's awesome to hear your plans and it's coming together, and you've got the studio, and that's so cool. And things are coming back to life, so everything's on the up.
Oh yes, and the Synthfest in Sheffield.
Yes, we're going to meet finally. Yes,
Finally.
and I've got something to give you. Yeah, as well. So
Thank you again, and don't go away. We just have a little bit of Alex at the end. Oh, what time can we expect to see the demo tomorrow? When is it going to be posted?
Oh, hang on. Let me just check what time I scheduled it. I think I tried to avoid Florian's Bad Gear episode, which is an institution on a Friday night. But so good. Where are we? It'll be tomorrow evening, 7 o'clock UK time, which will be, I don't know what. In US, what's 7? About mid. What are you? 6 hours? 5? It depends where you are, doesn't it?
We're
US.
5. We're 5. So it's right
on the
before
East.
Pro Synth Network or so.
it'll be like so it'll be like 2 PM your time, 7 in the UK, and figure it out from there. Tomorrow evening, tomorrow afternoon, whatever.
All right.
Saturday morning if you're David.
All right. Everyone have a great night, and
Yeah.
if you're on the other side of the world, have a great day, and we will be speaking to you and seeing you all soon. Thanks again.